Okay, you clicked on this video because you need some help or guidance training your dog. Now, I've been training dogs professionally for over a decade, specializing in you, the dog owner. And here's what I have found to be the best way to start training any dog. First of all, training a dog is subjective. Each dog and each person are entirely different. That's the beauty of the world that we live in. Every dog has different genetics, different personality, obviously different ages, different drives, different motivation, so on and so forth. You get the idea. All dogs are different, all people are different, and that's really important moving forward. Anybody out there that tells you that there's only one way, one certain way to train your dog is lying to you. That's not possible. Think about it. Imagine a school where every single student and every single teacher had to learn the exact same way under the same principles, regardless of their age, their personality, their history, their background, their behavior. Like, what the F? That would epically fail. Now, they're out there. There's trainers out there. There's professionals out there, and I'm sure you've seen them, but I'm just not one of those people. I think dog training is an art. Every single dog and every person has a roadmap to their specific goals depending on their individual personalities and capabilities. And that's super important because as a dog owner, you can get so overwhelmed with all the information out there, including the video I'm making now. But I want to be that middle ground for you guys. So here are some super successful tips that thousands of my clients have done to start training their dog the right way. So let's start with the dog that's in front of you. I know that sounds silly and even obvious, but it doesn't matter if you're working on behavior modification, aggression, or you're training a new puppy that you just got. Maybe you just rescued a dog, or you're training a dog and you're a trainer and you don't really know where to start and you're looking for the right direction to go to. You should figure out what motivates the dog in front of you first. Why would that dog do anything for you? Why should they engage with you? Because you said so? Because you're a human and they're a dog? I mean, why would the dog even pay attention to you? These are important things as we develop a relationship with the dog. I always suggest starting with a professional training treat or a tug ball that your dog wants. You have to have motivation. I'll leave a link right here for something I recommend to start training with your dog. If you're using a ball, make sure you have a piece of rope on the end of that ball so you can interact with the dog. Don't just give it to him and then let him run off with it. That'll be counterproductive. Get in an environment that isn't distracting. When you're teaching, you want to start in a clean, sterile environment before you go into the real deal. Don't try to run before you can walk. This is a very important step that a lot of dog owners and even dog trainers make. This is huge. So they go out into a realistic situation and they epically fail because they don't even know what they're doing yet. Many people make this mistake, and it's very frustrating for dog owners to try to teach new things in this crazy environment outside with the squirrels and the people and the chipmunks and the birds and the rabbits. If you think about it, dogs smell and hear things that we didn't even know that were there. Once you walk outside, it's a whole new world. It's a completely different place for the dog. And once you have your dog's attention with whatever you're using for motivation, now you can start engaging and teaching them something. So just like with humans, you want engagement, like this video. If I was looking at this way, it just wouldn't really make sense. So you really want to try to find what your dog wants so you can start teaching them new things. And dog trainers will call this positive reinforcement training. Adding something to the equation that your dog wants to motivate them to work with you. This is a huge, massive key to training your dog. Then I would suggest to write down 3 things. Write down 3 things that you want to work on with your dog. And I say write this down because people sometimes just go out there and wing it. And you could wing it, but in my experience, I just try to write everything down and say, okay, I'm gonna work on these 3 things today, or these 3 things this week or this month. That way you have an actual game plan. You have a roadmap that you can follow instead of going out there and doing random stuff. I always personally start with the heel, place, and stay. Those are my first behaviors to work on because those are the things that you will use most with your dog. And I'm a dog owner of 30-something years, and that's not only my opinion professionally, but it's what I use with my personal dogs and I have my whole life. I have videos on all 3 of these things, but here's a super easy format to teach your dog anything. No matter what you want to teach your dog, here's an easy format for that. So once you start training with your dog, let's say on place, for example. So you have to have motivation for your dog. And you have to have a cot or your choice of a place command, whatever it is. You have to have a training leash, and you will ask the dog to do this behavior. Now, when I say behavior, that just means sit or down or place. The behavior, like that's the cue. Like I want you to do this behavior, right? It's what I want you to do. No matter what the behavior you're asking, this formula will work with any dog no matter what. But let's continue with the place command because that's what we're talking about. Start really, really small on this, guys. Whatever you're doing, whatever behavior you're teaching, you want to start small and make it really easy. Use your body, or what I call holding their hand, to make it super easy for them. So they're sitting there licking their lips. They're excited to work. They're like, let's go. I want what you have. I'll do anything actually for what you have. What do I need to do for it, right? You have the engagement. You have the focus because you're in a sterile environment, and you have motivation. Again, this is the very first steps and the very first principles to teach a dog anything that you want. Okay, great. So let's get next to the bed or the cot. You say the dog's name and you say place. And you guide them with your leash, adding just a little bit of pressure to the leash to direct them where you want to go because they have no idea what place is yet. So you're standing right next to the place, for an example. Place, a little bit of leash pressure, they hop on there, boom. Now, like with any behavior, once the dog does the thing that you told them to do verbally, or the cue, you pay the dog. And I typically say, good, then the behavior that the dog did good at. So for an example, place, good place. And if you have a marking system like yes or a clicker, that's where that comes into play at that moment. I don't use clickers because I lose them. I use marker systems like yes. So instead of click and pay, I use yes and pay because I always have my voice. So your dog will know for sure that the first couple times, every time I get on this little bed thing here, I get the treat, or I get the ball, or I get paid. They won't know the exact cue yet because dogs take a little bit of time, but they are super smart and they will condition really easy. And the cue would be the word, place. So you're gonna do this 7 to 10 times using a small amount of food. Like the Pro Treats make this a lot easier. The Pro Treats that I would recommend are gonna be right here. It makes a huge difference that you're not Pez dispensing your dog and giving them diarrhea or they're full. So you're repping these behaviors out in small little increments, making it easy and easy and easy. Your dog will soon start to click on what's going on and things will start to go, oh, place means get to this thing, bingo. Now we're talking. That's what dogs want to do is they say, I want what you have. What do you want me to do to get it? And if you're good about it, you'll be able to get this. So same thing with heel, teaching your dog to walk on a loose leash at your heels. Walk 3 steps in a heel position. Once your dog completes that with good engagement, good loose leash, you pay the dog. Boom. And they get paid. They're like, wow, this whole heel thing's really easy. But again, you have to make sure you're in a sterile environment. You don't want to be doing these things outside or teaching these things outside. Of course, the end goal, you will be outside with this dog because that's reality. That's what we all train for. And with any behavior that we're teaching, like we're talking about in this video, it's going to be a big principle to really underline the 3 Ds of dog training. The 2 things that will make or break this, or the reason why your dog is not successful with training, is enforcement and break. This is the biggest part where everyone falls apart. This is where everyone fails. You're probably 4 minutes or less away from the other half of securing a super trained dog. So everything I've said so far makes sense. Make it super easy. Use positive reinforcement. But this is where everyone fails. This is where the rubber meets the road. You must teach your dog break or a free command in conjunction with teaching your dog a new behavior. I am explaining to you how important this is. Your dog has to know when they're done doing the thing that you ask them to do. It's that simple. You say break. Guys, you can say anything. You can say gumballs. You can say tomato. We just say break because it's easy. And the dog can be done with whatever they're doing at that time. This is really important. If we're gonna tell our dogs that they have to work or they have to clock in for work, we also have to be able to tell them, you can be a dog now, you can do what you want. And we typically break with our voice, with our body. And you can even pop a dog, you can pop a ball or a piece of food on the ground and release your dog from work. But it has to be on your cue. I have a couple of videos demonstrating the break. I'll show you right now so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, good heel, Henry. Very good heel. We're gonna do 4 corners, heel, and we're gonna stop. Then we're gonna go into the second behavior, which is break. Stop. Yes, good. Okay, break. Good, so that's the break command. So the break command is as important as any other behavior you'll ever do with your dog because it creates fairness, it creates clarity with what you're doing. The break command is your dog's recess, right? So when you say break, you can do what you want. You can come over here, I can follow you around a little bit, you can be a dog. Just like with kids, there's also rules and regulations. You can go out on recess and play kickball and scream and yell, but you can't take a brick and hit little Timmy over the head with it. So there's rules and regulations to the break. After any behavior sequence, in this case it was heel, we're gonna break the dog after so they can be a dog.
Now let's move into enforcement. You're doing this exercise with your dog, the place for an example, because we'll make it easy, and your dog tries to run off the place. Yep, you can pull them back on and start over. You could definitely do that. And it's not necessarily wrong. I see so many dog owners do this. In my experience, you're wasting valuable time. Every time you do this, you're missing an opportunity here. The problem is you're not teaching your dog that they've made an error. You teach them the place, they get on there. The goal of the place is, like my dog could be over here in a downstay and I'm doing this for you. They're there and they're not supposed to move until I release them. Now, if any point he just walks off and I get up and I say, go back to your place, that would be like a student getting the answer wrong over and over and over and over again. 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. So on and so forth. And you're just asking them to do it again and again and again. Nope. Try again. Instead of stopping them and teaching them and correcting them and say, 1 + 1 = what? 1 + 2, right? We're teaching them. We're not saying try again. It's not 3. It's not 3. Speaking of corrections, this is what you could call that, of course, but correcting the dog when they make a mistake is so they learn. A correction will clarify and teach. Driving down the road, correction, right? A correction is to clarify and to teach anything, no matter what it is, the difference between right and wrong. This is something that a lot of people mess up. The dog gets off the place, we put him back on. They get off, we put him back on. It's this cycle. And it never gets better. Why doesn't it get better? It's really simple. The dog will never learn what they're doing wrong unless you tell them, unless you show them. Use your leash to stop the dog or correct the dog from getting off the place. This gives your dog a fair opportunity to make the right decision. They start to get off, pop, verbal correction, leash correction. They get back on, good. So they learn, oh, I can't, there's an area that I can't, why can't, and then you release the dog. So many people place, the dog gets off, we put him back on. Also, by placing the dog back up after they broke without a correction or without some sort of enforcement, you're teaching your dog that the place or the heel or the recall or anything else that you teach your dog or ask your dog to do is 100% optional. I ask you to place, you get off, that's okay. I'll just ask you to get back on anyway. That's dangerous. We're training for reality. When we tell our dog to place, it's for a reason, not for fun. I mean, sure, it's fun to train, but come and go as you please. And the absolute worst case scenario for you as a dog is I'm just gonna ask you again. Just gonna ask you again. You get off, I'm gonna ask you again. I want you to come back and you're running off leash. I'm just gonna ask you again, no worries, take your time. 20 minutes later. Now this is just the way I do things. So you have this nice sandwich of a reward-based system. And this should be fun, and that should be accompanied by enforcement and a clear break command. So the sandwich would be asking the dog to do the behavior. It's kind of like this sandwich, right? It's these layers. They do it, you positively reinforce them. If they get off, you correct them, and then you break them after. It's all a big, healthy balance. Now, this is a way to train your dog, and of course, it's my opinion, but as you guys know or may not know, I have been doing this for over a decade, and I have hundreds of videos here for free of me training actual dog owners producing actual results all over the world. So the results, and of course the evidence is all right here of how that works. Now it's not for every dog, it's not for every trainer, it's not for every dog owner, but it definitely works if you fall into these guidelines of, hey, I don't know why my dog is continuing to break. Now, as always, I don't want to be right here, guys. I just want to help you. For example, how many dog trainers or even dog owners are out there watching this right now? Let me know in the comments. How many of you put your dog into a sit and all of a sudden the dog, pop, right out of the sit. And you go, oh. Either you don't even realize that they go, I'm done with this behavior, and they just trot off. So again, you're telling the dog that everything and anything I ask you to do is completely optional. And in fact, whenever you're ready to be done with it, you can check out. This creates insecurity, this creates lack of confidence, this can create reactivity, this can create aggression, this can create a lot of different things. You guys have seen it on my channel over and over and over again. A dog owner comes in with a reactive and aggressive dog. My dog has bit somebody, killed another dog. What do we do, Tom? Here's a bunch of money. I traveled from all over the country to get to you. And I've realized that, wait a minute, put your dog into a sit for me. Put your dog into a sit, the dog goes, up, I'm out of here. Like, whoa, here's the problem. All the things that you're talking about and the stress signals that you're dealing with are actually just symptoms of not having good clarity, which is your break command, be a dog, and of course your enforcement. If you ask a dog to do something and they say, I'm not doing it, especially if they know it, or even in the preliminary stages of teaching your dog how to heel or place or any of these new behaviors, you say place, they go, I'm done. Do you let them walk off and say, yeah, you're right, you can be done what you want? Or do you correct them? Now, corrections in the dog training world, unfortunately, has become this kind of taboo word. Guys, a correction, as my friend Will would say, leadership is love. Be a leader. If your dog makes a mistake, correct them and teach them how to do it right. It's the most ethical way to train and to teach your dog. It's to teach your children, teach your employees. It's the clearest way to say, that's wrong, this is right, let's try it again. Oh, you did great, here's a reward. Again, as always, guys, I'm not here trying to be right. I'm just trying to help you guys out with your dog. Right now, if you guys want to restart, if you go, you know what, you're right, Tom, where do I start? I have a course called the Kickstarter course. The Kickstarter course is essentially all of the dogs who came in with all their problems. I said, what does every single dog that comes in with a behavioral problem have? They're lacking these things. So if you want to start fresh with your dog, I would suggest taking the Kickstarter course. And right now, you can take $100 off of any single course while watching this YouTube video by using the discount code YouTube and heading over to TomDavisCourses.com or clicking the link below. And this is an incentive for you. It's over 50% off, guys. It's an incentive. Of course, I make these for free, but I have to keep the lights on. This is an incentive for you guys to get better, to learn how to restart and recalibrate your relationship with your dog. And that's $100 off all of my courses, including the Kickstarter course, which will reset your relationship and get you to a point where you're healthy and clarity is important. Thanks for watching and happy training, and I'll talk to you next time.